Hello, KO4. Happy Tuesday. I have another book by Helen Lester to read to you today, and it's illustrated by Lynn Munsinger. So, if you remember our book from yesterday about the porcupine named Fluffy, I have another one by the same author and illustrator. It is called Hooway for Wodney Wat. And this one is also one of my favorites to read during the school year that we didn't get to do together. Unless maybe we did, but we're going to read it again. It's great. Poor Wodney. Wodney Wat. His real name was Rodney Rat, but he couldn't pronounce his R's. To make matters worse, he was a rodent. A wodent. What's your name, Wodney? Asked the other rodents. Wodney Wat, whispered Wodney. What's another name for Bunny? They asked knowingly. Wabbit, he mumbled. And how does a train travel? They winked at each other. A twain twabbles on twain twacks, Wodney replied miserably. So they're not being very kind to Rodney, are they? I did not think so. All of his teasing day in and day out made Wodney the shyest rodent in his elementary school. His squeak could barely be heard in class. He gnawed lunch alone, which is because he's a rodent, they gnaw on their food. And while the other rodents scurried and scooted about at recess, Wodney hid inside his jacket. There he is hiding. Then one day, as the rodents were taking turns doing wheelies, a new rodent, a very large rodent, barged into the classroom, which means to come in very forcefully, and announced, "My name is Camilla Capybara. I'm bigger than any of you. I'm meaner than any of you. And I'm smarter than any of you." Then she added, "So there." And there she is. With that, she accidentally, on purpose, elbowed an ear, bumped two noses, stepped on three tails, and lay down on a desk. Fur prickled in fear through the classroom. She sure was bigger than any of them. She sure looked meaner than any of them. Was she smarter than any of them? She is very large, isn't she? "What's 2 plus 2?" asked Miss Fuzzleworth. "Far!" shouted Camilla Capybara without even bothering to raise her paw. "And furthermore, 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 plus 8 is 16. And 243 plus 125 is 368. Later, when Miss Fuzzleworth asked, "What's the capital of?" Camilla interrupted. "New York, Albany, population 295,594. And during science, in answer to the question, what part of a plant is below the ground, Camilla Capybara danced on her desk and sang, "Root, rut, ruddy, rut, tut, tut." Yup, thought all the other rodents. She's smarter than we are, too. They felt very, very uncomfortable. Every afternoon, just before the final recess, Miss Fuzzleworth drew a name from her hat to see who would be the leader for their favorite game. "Simon Says." She scrunched her eyes closed and jiggled the hat. Would it be Harry the hamster? Minnie Foot Mouse? Grizzle Fritz Guinea Pig? Could it be big, mean, smart Camilla Capybara? Miss Fuzzleworth's paw reached in and pulled out the name of Wodney Wat. The bell rang. There was a wild scurry for the door, and Camilla Capybara was the first on the playground, having trampled the others in her path. That means to stomp all over them, and they're all laying there. To Wodney, she looked especially scary. What would she do when she heard him speak? Breathe capybara breath in his face, or tie him in his own tail, or even pounce on him. And remember that word from the tiger, baby tiger, pounce. The tiny, trembling leader of the game stood before the eager players, his head well inside his jacket, and squeaked. Wodney says, "Read the sign," while the other rodents read PS 142 Elementary School for Rodents. Camilla began pulling up weeds around the sign. That means, so when you say to weed the sign, she thinks he means to pull up the weeds out of the ground, wildly flinging them hither and yon till she was clear up to her teeth in dirt. The other rodents began to smile. Wodney says, "Whap your paws, wound your head." He peeked a little peek out of his jacket and saw, whap, whap, whappity, slappity, whap. Camilla was whapping instead of wrapping her paws around her head so hard she became dizzy, gave herself a headache, and had to sit down. The other rodents couldn't help giggling. Wodney says, "Play wing around a rosy." Camilla put her arms like wings and made an airplane noise. But where was the wosy? What was a wosy? So they're playing ring around the rosy, and she is just playing, she's pretending she has wings, and she's looking for a wosy. By now, Wodney's voice was stronger, and his head was entirely out of his jacket, so he's getting more brave. "Wake the leaves." Nobody moved. Wodney says, "Wake the leaves." While Harry, Minniefoot, and Grizzle Fritz and the other busied themselves raking, Camilla Capybara grabbed one leaf. "Wake up!" Yet she yelled. So she thinks he's saying wake up, and he's saying rake. She snatched another, "Come on, you! Up, 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 up!" And another, "Rise and shine!" And another, "Boo!" By now, all the other rodents were squealing with laughter, all but Camilla, who frowned. "Stupid leaves! They won't wake up! And why was everyone laughing at her? Such bullies!" In a voice so strong he had to hold his own ears, Wodney called, "Wodney says go west!" The rodents collapsed in a happy heap for a rest. Go west. Camilla Capybara, feeling very smart that she could tell directions by the sun, said, "All right, I shall go west." And then she added, "So there." West she stomped. Forever she was gone. And from that day on, the pupils of PS 142 Elementary School for Rodents never teased Wodney again. He was their hero. "Hooray for Wodney the Wat!" they cried. "Woot woot! Woody toot toot!" So that was the book for the day. I really think this book is very fun, and it reminds us not to make fun of others and also to be kind and not be a bully. So I hope you guys have an awesome Tuesday, and I will see you tomorrow. And I can't wait to see some more people for Zoom meetings too.